Hey everyone. So back in May, a video went viral on TikTok, and eventually the story actually made it all the way to the news, of a high school senior girl's aunt, or aunt, depending on how fancy you are, arguing with a high school principal in a blue shirt outside the high school's graduation practice. The only problem being the principal is telling the aunt that her niece can't participate because she didn't show up on time. The girl's aunt is evidently upset about this and argues back and forth with the principal for some time. Tons of people wanted a resolution to this, and I think the way this story actually went might really surprise you. Before we dive in, here's the footage of the incident, which is still available on the aunt's TikTok page, along with hundreds of other videos she's posted since, most of which, though, have nothing to do with this incident.
She had to work hard one more time, and she didn't.
So y'all gonna take this opportunity from her?
She took it from her because she didn't get up in time.
She's a child. She's a senior.
So were they.
She's a child. She's a senior.
So were they.
She's going through. You don't understand what she's going through. And I had to drive all the way from Pine Bluff, Arkansas to come all the way here.
Yes, ma'am.
To get her a ride here.
You knew what time we left.
She don't have a vehicle or anything, so you know me more. So she can't.
And it was planned ahead, and so you had all that time to plan. So I'm sorry, that's not an excuse.
She made it to rehearsal before y'all even started.
She didn't make it where she was supposed to, where it's mandatory to be.
So she can't walk. She really finished school way before time. On the road student, and she can't walk.
That's correct.
Because she didn't make it to the school to get on the bus in time, but she made it here at the same time that you all made it?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and who can I speak to this over you? And what's your name?
My name's Todd Edwards. I'm the principal at the high school.
Okay, and who can I speak to this over you?
Anybody, you can talk to Angie Dissinger, secondary superintendent.
Angie who?
Dissinger,
okay.
You want her phone number?
Mm-hmm.
501 847 5600.
5600. Okay, Todd Edwards. Okay.
So obviously there's no real resolution reached in this confrontation and back and forth here, but we do learn a bit about what's going on, both from the conversation itself and the caption originally posted with this video. The woman who posted this is named Kimberly Smith, and the girl who's supposed to be graduating here is named Kylie. And no, before you ask, the mom and sister are not named Courtney and Chloe. Anyway, she posted a caption with this video that gives us some info from her side of the story. It reads, "My niece is an honor roll student and she completed her senior year early. She had graduation rehearsal today, but there was a family crisis and she wasn't able to make it to the school located in Bryant, Arkansas, in time to board the bus. So I drove all the way from Pine Bluff, which, as it turns out, is about an hour drive when I looked it up on maps, to make sure that she made it to War Memorial Stadium in time for rehearsal. We pulled up at the same time as the buses before they even started to unload the kids, and she was denied graduation. They will not let her walk. And the principal was very heartless and aggressive for no reason. I wish I could have recorded as he started approaching us, but my hands were shaking so bad from being upset." End quote. So from what we can gather right from the start here, high school senior Kylie was supposed to show up with all the other kids at Bryant High School to take a bus over to War Memorial Stadium where the graduation ceremony, or the rehearsal for the graduation ceremony, was supposed to take place. But because of an undisclosed family emergency, they used the word crisis, she was late to the school and wasn't able to board the bus as a result. So to get around this, the aunt, in order to make sure she got there for the rehearsal and was still able to participate, drove about an hour from where she lived to get her and drive her over to War Memorial Stadium herself. When she gets there, the principal tells her that because she hadn't made it to the bus rides as school policy for the graduation rehearsal dictated, she wasn't going to be allowed to participate at all. There was also another bit of footage the aunt released on TikTok, and this part sparked some extra outrage and led some people to question if there was some preferential treatment being shown to other students, even perhaps on the basis of their race, who also had issues getting to the school on time. In this footage, Kylie's family can be seen talking to another student whose mom seems to have driven them to the graduation site themselves without issue, saying they had been granted an exception because of a scheduling conflict.
What did she say? They gave her an exception with her daughter? Huh? So her daughter is a graduating student?
And he gave her the permission to pick her up and stuff.
What? You gotta be kidding me. Really? Dr. Edwards gave you permission that your daughter could leave with you without having to ride the bus?
Yes, because she has her senior walk is today. So she has almost a scheduling conflict, and so
I understand. I just want to be clear on that. Thank you, ma'am, and congratulations, baby. All right. Wow.
In response to all the hullabaloo that this caused, the school's director of communications, a man named Devin Sherrill, submitted a press release shortly after, which addressed the viral video and attempted to explain the situation from the school's point of view. This actually clears up some of the confusion we're all feeling about this policy, the hardlining on the policy this family experienced, and even the reason this other student had been granted an exception that seemingly wasn't extended to Kylie. The press release reads, "The reason for this requirement not only has to do with student safety, over 600 students driving to and from Little Rock, but also the need to adequately prepare for a dignified graduation ceremony involving large number of students and the many logistics involved with that process. Only one student came directly to the venue without having prior approval to do so." They're talking about Kylie here. "No other student eligible for graduation, or who chose to participate in the graduation ceremony, missed the bus for graduation practice without having prior approval for alternate arrangements. Any allegations that similarly situated students were treated differently is completely false. We understand the importance of graduation ceremonies to students and their families. We have reached out to the student, who is now an adult, for further explanation of why the student did not or was unable to meet this requirement or seek prior approval from the principal to make alternative arrangements." Okay, then according to this statement, the school enforces this policy because there have been safety concerns some 10 years ago about people getting hurt in the traffic that was created by everyone coming to the grad site in their own vehicles. To make the process more safe and professional, a policy was implemented that mandated taking the bus to and from graduation practice. And on the issue of the other child who was seemingly given different treatment, the school says that the reason it appeared that way was because, unlike Kylie, the other student had sought accommodations and permission prior to the practice ceremony, whereas Kylie had been the only student to show up without any of said coordination. Now, I have to admit that seems like a pretty reasonable explanation on balance, but given that Kylie's aunt mentioned that there was a family emergency or crisis involved, it's also reasonable to point out that emergencies and crises don't always happen in advance or with forewarning. Sometimes emergencies emerge at inopportune moments. So it becomes a vitally important question to this debate then, what that emergency was. Despite this explanation, though, from the school, very shortly after this, Kimberly and Kylie's mom, LaRonda, were interviewed by Channel 4 News about the incident.
The way he did my baby, emotionally, he belittled her, he berated her, made her feel like she was this small.
Her family says they were met with a family emergency, which caused them to miss the bus. So Kimberly drove Smith to the stadium from her home in Pine Bluff.
It was a slap in the face, not trying to be funny, but the first thing I seen, only different was our color.
The school says the other student had gotten approval from the principal prior to rehearsal. Still, Lewis says the embarrassment left her feeling defeated, but hopes the school will reconsider their decision.
I worked so very hard. All the nights standing up doing all the work, trying to stay focused and going through as many things as I went through. It kind of makes me feel like it wasn't worth it.
So even after the school explained the, let's face it, rather clear difference between a student who had made coordinated prior arrangements with the school to show up late and Kylie, who didn't, Kylie's family still insisted that the only real difference that they could see was her skin color, which was also the initial accusation made by many online commenters who saw the footage of them speaking with the other child's parent and drew that conclusion as well. So they aren't buying the school's excuses here and seem to still actively believe that this was a racially motivated incident. But it would also be odd if the school was so unreasonable that they couldn't at least hear Kylie out about this emergency situation that she found herself in and try to be understanding about it. Graduation is a huge deal, and this still seems like an awfully minor slight to stop someone, especially an early finishing honors student, from being able to participate in such a pivotal moment of their lives. A bit later on, Kimberly posted new footage of their meetings with the principal and school staff shortly afterward, and the conversations that they have reveal some things.
Kylie was denied access because she didn't ride the bus. Right. Not that she was late, because they were actually there before the buses. In fact, the whole staff, student, everybody was late. There's a video showing that they didn't leave at the time that they were supposed to, or didn't make it to where they were supposed to on time. So all 600 people, the whole district late. But I spoke with a parent. I actually have a video of a parent saying that the principal, Mr. Todd, gave her permission to leave to take her daughter in her private vehicle because it was her senior walk day. And it was a conflict of time or interest or something, and those are her words.
So let me clear something up for you guys. So there were probably about 8 kids that had some type of exception. All of those 8 kids, that was done prior. It wasn't something that happened that morning. Kylie is the only student that's in the situation for this. She's the only kid that didn't ride the bus. We have students who were on our track team, and the state track meet was the day of AP exams. So they have to be given on the day they tell you that they're given, and they have a makeup day. Well, the makeup day for AP exam was graduation practice day. So
that has no bearing on what we're speaking of here.
We're explaining the exceptions.
We're trying to tell you the exceptions.
And they have to take it at a specific
practice
time.
Was first scheduled for
May. Whether it was prior to or...
And if you would have, if y'all would have called Dr. Edwards, if you had some type of family function that y'all had already scheduled, and because we moved practice, if you would have called ahead of time and said, hey, we've got this already scheduled, Dr. Edwards would have said, yes, that's fine, and he would have approved just like
it was last minute.
We actually hear her again ask why Kylie seemed to get different treatment than the other kid they had on the second clip, and the school says that all those other kids called ahead and made those arrangements, whereas Kylie and Kylie alone had not. This is the same thing that we heard before. You also hear Kylie's mom say that this was a last-minute emergency. Here's a second recording from this meeting, this time where Kylie's mom and aunt, excuse me, I'm not fancy enough to say that, are explaining how they tried contacting people about this emergency situation when it happened, but couldn't seem to get a hold of anyone who could help.
The information was withheld, and we got it at the last minute. So when they contacted me, I had to come we had to come all the way from Pineville, Arkansas.
Here, we did it again today.
And we knew that we wouldn't have made it to the school for her to ride the bus. And so I did call the school, and I was told by the secretary that everybody that I needed to speak to was at the stadium.
That's why I walked up first.
I also called and spoke to the secretary at a different time.
And they come to find out, there was, I guess you was here at the high school. They said, well, somebody, she said that somebody was there at the school that I could have spoke with, the lady that I spoke with. So we had asked, so it was I think it was one of the teachers, the staff.
One of the staff ladies.
I asked her.
Before then, we spoke to someone though, because I walked up with Kylie. When the buses arrived, we got out the car because Kylie didn't want to stand up. I was going to stand there and wait for the buses with her. I'm mama. I was going to stand there and wait, but the bus, she said, Mama, I don't want to be standing up there. So as soon as the first bus arrived, there's about 15 buses out there, 13 to 15. First bus arrived, we walk up and it was a lady in a white tennis dress. I'll never forget, with a ponytail to the back. And I approached her. I said, ma'am, we've been trying to contact the school. They said everybody important is here. This was the first time we were turned away because I was not leaving because I needed someone to understand what we would. It don't even matter. It's about it was the way we were treated. Her excuse is valid, just as valid as anyone else's. Her story is deeper than anyone else's. Her sacrifices are deeper than anyone else's. And for someone to blatantly just get in her face and attack her like we were just because we were trying to get her to walk. She's so deserve it. She deserves it more than anybody else as well. We walked up, we tried, we came with compassion. You never spoke, just like you didn't speak this morning. Mm-hmm. You never spoke to us, Then we stood out there all day. You said we were hours late. No, you said she slept over. No, that's not what it was. You
should have gotten up earlier.
You assumed that
it was her fault that she
was up at 6
didn't
o'clock in
get
the
up
morning.
and that wasn't the
on
case.
time.
There are two things that are hard not to notice about this story. First is that through all of this, the family is very private about what this mysterious crisis, this emergency, actually was. At no point in any of the footage involved did I hear any mention of what that crisis was. This leads me to believe, logically, that either the emergency was too personal to just share with the world and was perhaps only privately shared with the school, or the emergency wasn't enough of an emergency that they thought it would change the school's mind. Second is that the principal of the school didn't seem willing to budge on this issue at all, despite the video's virality and all of the extremely angry people from TikTok who had decided to tell the school exactly how they felt about this whole debacle. So it was to everyone's surprise, including mine, when I discovered that in fact Kylie had, after all, been allowed to walk and participate in her graduation. Lovely. So I guess the school had a change of heart here, right? They decided to let her walk after all, even despite all this hard-headed back and forth they were doing. Wrong. Because the school released another statement right after this graduation took place, and you are not going to believe what this thing says. On Friday morning, in an effort to listen to and carefully consider any reasons that might have prevented the student from riding the bus to graduation rehearsal, district administrators and the high school principal met with the student and members of her family. While the family stated they had a family emergency, they elected to keep those details private and chose not to provide further information that would justify an exception to the student handbook policy. Dr. Todd Edwards, principal of Bryant High School, leads the high school staff, student, and parents with honor and integrity. He is loved and respected by his students, staff, and the community he serves. He appropriately followed the student handbook and made the correct decision regarding this matter. Following the meeting this morning, Bryant Public School Administration was prepared to support that decision. However, this afternoon, due to an apparent miscommunication, the decision was made to allow the student to participate in the graduation ceremony. The student has been and remains a member of the Hornet family. We wish her the best in the future. Bryant Public School administrators will always base their decisions on the law, policy, handbooks, and what is best for the students. The requirement that students must ride the bus to graduation practice in order to walk at graduation will remain. No decisions will ever be made based upon social media activity and threats. The personal attacks and threats levied against Dr. Edwards and other Bryant staff members have been irresponsible and reprehensible. In a shocking turn of events, we learn that the school was actually fully prepared not to let Kylie walk at all, and it was only because of a fluke, a miscommunication, that Kylie was allowed to walk after all. But in fact, she wasn't actually supposed to. We also get an answer to the all-important question of the family emergency. Apparently, this reason wasn't actually shared with the school either, and I'm honestly not really sure what to make of that. What do you think? Was the emergency real and just far too private to share? Or was it made up to cover a real reason too trivial to have warranted an exception? Let me know what you think in the comments below. As for the school staff, they stuck by their principal on this one, and he hasn't, according to their website, been fired or anything like that. Not saying he should have or shouldn't have necessarily, but it's important to note for the story. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you were thinking in the comments below. Drop your reckoning mendations, and I'll see you later.